Okay, so we've been at Reynolds for about a month now, and we've been tasked with answering the question of who are your students? So through my observations of our students, I've noticed a few things, mainly that they're unique, they're complicated, and they're not you. So to flesh those ideas out a little bit more, I'll examine each of those one by one. First of all, they are unique. Human beings be what they are. We judge by appearance at first, and noticing the way students dress, very stylish, very with it, and they have an effortless way of making you seem very old and very lame in comparison based on the way they dress. In terms of their gender or sexuality, might be different than your own, so that's something to keep in mind. Observed a few international students at Reynolds, so that's something to be cognizant of, as they may not have been in Canada very long. So our culture and way of doing things might be different. Also important, English might not be their first language, and it might be something they're struggling with, so that's something to keep in mind. Also, some of the students might be members of local indigenous communities and may have had a different cultural experience or might have different cultural values than your own. So that's something also to be aware of. Students also that they are complicated. I tended to focus on the students at the back of the class who looked like they weren't engaged, not particularly enthralled with the lesson, had that blank, vacant stare at their face. They often were up looking at the clock, trying to see how much time was left for the block. Our tendency as human beings is to try to, write those students off, saying, "Oh, they just don't care about learning." But when you be sensible about that and think about it a little bit more, you realize, teenagers have a lot going on. Believe it or not, I used to be a teenager as well. There was a lot going through my mind in the high school years that wasn't necessarily lesson related. So that's something I had to think about with these students. There might be things going on at home or in their personal lives that I'm not aware of. So that's something to be cognizant of. And that they are not you. So when I was in high school, I was the big keener. I enjoyed studying and learning, so learning about new things wasn't a chore to me, whereas other students, some of the students I observed, they see the lesson, see those pile of books or those notes and are like, "Oh my God, get me out of here." So the question is, knowing that the students might have a very different attitude towards school than yourself, is how exactly do you connect? Well, be aware of these facts and embrace them is what I tried to do. Knowing that students might learn a different way than yourself, and seeing that some of the teachers at Reynolds understood this as well, and that they would engage with those students in different ways, maybe through a more active lesson, such as doing a drama, a skit type activity, or maybe like a drawing activity. Just something to get them thinking and hopefully get that light bulb going off in their minds about the lesson. And the other trick I noticed was to be yourself. So when I'm in a new situation, I tend to freeze up a bit, a little bit distant. So I had to kind of let my hair down and show people that I'm kind of a goofy guy, that I mean well, and that I'm just trying to help. And when they see that, they tended to open up to me, and they would speak to me, and we'd talk about the lesson that the teacher was trying to convey to them that day. And I'd, try and provide what little insight I could, and hopefully make a connection with them on that basis. So yeah, students, they're unique, they're complicated, and they're not you, and that's all okay. Thanks very much.